Do you care about the climate but are confused with some of the lingo you hear on the news?
In an effort to offset the environmental impact from its travelers.
Scientists blame gas and oil drilling that uses hydraulic fracturing or fracking.
Some farmers are turning to what's called regenerative agriculture.
Don't worry, I'm here to help you learn these climate buzzwords. Let's jump right in. Environmental justice is an important part of addressing the climate crisis because underserved communities usually feel the impacts of climate change first and worst. This includes having higher rates of pollution, less access to healthy foods, and clean drinking water. Being exposed to unhealthy air and water can lead to real health impacts, including asthma. Environmental justice calls for the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. We've already heard this term come up a lot during Democratic debates and climate-specific presidential town halls. Carbon offsetting is when you support activities that take CO2 out of the air or prevent more CO2 and greenhouse gases from being released. The idea is that by putting money behind these positive activities, you counteract your negative environmental impact. Taking a round-trip flight from DC to LA, that releases about 2 tons of CO2. To counterbalance that, you can purchase carbon offsets that support activities such as tree planting, renewable energy, or methane capture. But be careful, the carbon offsetting market is not regulated. So in order to make sure you're not wasting your money, you do the research and make sure the offsets you support are legit. Also, offsets are just a small piece of a larger set of necessary solutions. Some environmentalists worry if individuals and companies rely too much on offsets, they won't do as much to reduce their emissions, which is a priority. Regenerative agriculture is a way of farming that sequesters or holds more carbon than it releases. Regenerative agricultural practices include using year-round cover crops, cutting down on tilling, and introducing rotational grazing. Regenerative agriculture can also have other positive outcomes, including less flooding, more biodiversity, and more nutrient-dense food. Some politicians are floating the idea of paying farmers to sequester carbon as a way to help reverse the impacts of climate change. 415 parts per million is the current amount of CO2 in the Earth's atmosphere. Back in May, this number was recorded at the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii by researchers from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. According to scientists, human civilization has never had this much CO2 in our atmosphere. In fact, the last time there was this much CO2 in the atmosphere was more than 800,000 years ago, and there were trees growing on the South Pole. This is a new, frightening threshold because we literally do not know what will happen with this much CO2 in the atmosphere. Fracking is a controversial method for getting natural gas. This is how it works. High-pressured water, sand, and chemicals are injected into rock in the Earth's surface, causing gas or oil to be pushed out into a well. Fracking has environmental consequences, including water contamination and earthquakes. Fracking sites in the U.S. rose by 1,200% from 2000 to 2015. States like Oklahoma and Texas, both heavy fracking states, had a huge increase in quakes in recent years. And geophysicists say the quakes can be attributed to an increase in fracking in those states. The rise of fracking has come at a time when we've known the consequences of burning fossil fuels. But instead of transitioning away from natural gas and our dependency on those fuels, the fracking industry has doubled down. Remember the fight to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline? That pipeline was built to carry fracked gas. There have been efforts across the country at local, state, and federal levels to minimize or ban fracking, driven by politicians and communities alike. 3 states, New York, Vermont, and Maryland, have banned the practice in recent years, while some governors have made it a campaign promise to further restrict or ban it in the near future. Carbon neutral or net zero emissions means you're supporting activities that sequester more carbon than you release. Many companies nationally and globally are setting goals for themselves to be carbon neutral by 2030. The idea is that you reduce the number of emissions you produce to the lowest level possible, and then whenever you can't reduce, you offset by supporting activities that sequester carbon, so that your overall impact is neutral or zero. That's all for these climate buzzwords. Remember, you don't have to be a scientist to be in the know about the climate. Thanks for watching.